Amen.
Amen. Amen. And so thank you again, everybody. Let me just say, for the media purposes, just so you'll know who we have here that is attending this press conference. We have the founders of the school here, Dr. Lois Johnson here, Dr. Clady Massey, our founders of the school. We have the school one, and Dr. Massey is also a former executive director as well as board member. We have Dr. Keith Frome, who is also a former executive director and board member of the school. We have another former board member, Dr. Julie Henry, here. We have also here Dr. Layla Inde, who in the you'll see in the complaint is one of the people who was a totally qualified person who applied to be on the board. And even though the board did not have vacancy filled, she was not brought onto the board. So she's here. We also have all the administrators that were a part of this, Antoinette, Radford, Joel and Thurman, Jessica Schaefer, and Brandon Thurman, who was here. We have a number of teachers here, and former teachers are here. We have the teacher who filed the October 2nd complaint with the um, SUNY Charter School Institute that we're going to be referencing earlier. So she'll be here and be able to speak to that. But most importantly, we have here as parents. We have the parents who are impacted by that. We have our parent leader, Keisha Austin, who will be speaking. Then we also have Latasha, who will be speaking. We have also um, uh, some other parents who will, chime in um, to participate in this. So let me just give you a little bit of background um, to kind of get us started on how we got here. The way we got here is that on June 24th of this past June 24th of this year, the board of King Center Charter School gave a letter. Actually, it was during a graduation, where they began to call down um, administrators to let them know that they were going to be letting them go. They first called Joel and Brandon Thurman, who were the assistant principal and the dean of students, and informed them that their positions would no longer be in the budget. And it's important that I note for the media who was here the significance of the fact that the board is the one who called them to the office. Um, the board, according to charter school um, protocol, boards should not be doing administration work. They should not be involved in. The only person they should be hiring and firing is the executive director. And for them to be directly involved with the dean of students and the assistant principal is actually a violation of the charter protocols. And so, but they let them know that. And then they called during the graduation, as the graduations ended, they called over the PA system and they brought Principal Radford into the office. And here's the letter they gave to her. You know what I'm saying? This letter basically said that the board has made the difficult decision to end your employment given the school's lack of improvement in student performance and resulting risk of non-renewal and closure. And so that happened on June 24th. There's a whole series of things that happened after that we're not going to go into the detail of, but what I want to do is just share with you some updated information regarding that specific thing. But let me just share one more piece of information that's related to what took place on June 24th. Um, Also, on June 24th, The people that brought her into the office again was the board, the board. And I want to show you that this is a letter that came board, from the board's lawyer that was sent to Principal Radford as a ruling related to what happened um, um, when they filed a complaint. And I want everybody to read closely what they say here. It says, to the extent that the board was previously in violation of its bylaws because it did not have 11 members, the board has already amended its bylaws and remedied this issue. Our first contention is that um, the board knew that it was out of compliance. Its lawyers knew it was out of compliance. Um, and as opposed to getting in compliance, which is what the bylaws require, just simply go bring on new board members, uh, the board remedied it by decreasing the size of his board from 11 to 5. So there's a reason why you have 11 board members. You cannot legally decrease your size of your board. You have to get pre-approval because that's a material change to the charter. You have to get pre-approval from SUNY to be able to SUNY Charter School Institute to be able to change your charter, to be able to change your bylaws. Neither of which they did. So they were operating illegally on June 24th. They knew they were operating illegally, and they tried to retroactively change the structure of their board down to 11 to 5 people. I hope the media that's listening asks the question later about whether 5 people who don't have a range of background that you will need to run a multi-million dollar institute could run a board like this. But we're going to move on. At that point, parents, teachers, administrators, community people all began to communicate with the SUNY Charter School Institute, who has oversight authority, to intervene. There were 3 letters and 2 complaints that were sent to SUNY Charter School Institute. And to make a long story short, the SUNY Charter School Institute did not respond, simply telling us to file a complaint with the board. But there was one person who did respond, and that person was Majority Leader Crystal Peoples Stokes. So you will see here a letter where the Majority Leader came and she talked to parents. She came and seen what was going on, and she wanted the SUNY Charter School Institute to investigate whether the board governance was negatively impacting student achievement and supports. And she wanted them to do an investigation, and she asked for that on August 21st, you will see, of last year. To make a long story short, a lot of this stuff, we have been very diligent about making sure the community is aware. Um, they did an investigation and they came back and they said that based on their review of all the documents that the board had submitted, that they didn't find any violations. I would like to note that they did not talk to one parent. They did not talk to one teacher. They didn't do no investigation. They did no interviews. They simply reviewed the documentation that came from the KCCS Board of Trustees. So consequently, Majority Leader People Stokes, we saw we saw a significant drop in the number of staff people who were working at the school. And so the Majority Leader sent out another email asking for the SUNY Charter School Institute to explain to us what was going on, because she was hearing that there was continued problems going on with the school. And so here's the email she sent to request the information in terms of what is going on. What she wanted to know numbers. She wanted to know student performance, and she wanted to know if the school was at risk of closure because there were a number of emails, and I'll show them later, where the board said the school was at risk of closure. And so, in response to her, the SUNY Charter School Institute sent this document, and this is really why we're here today. They sent this document showing the student proficiency scores. This is from the Catherine Espinosa, who is the executive director of the SUNY Charter School Institute, who shows that the student proficiency scores went from 23 kids reading, doing ELA proficiently last year to 35, a 12% increase. And it also outperformed the district by the Buffalo Public School District by 8 percentage points. And it also showed an improvement in math from 32 to 36%. That's what the document that she shared showed us. The document she shared also informed us that, oh man, I lost it. Also informed us that the charter school was not at risk of closure. And I'll show you that document, after we have the rest of our testimony. Everything that we're talking about here today is things that we have the documentation to verify. So there are two things going on right now. Today, the administrators filed um, a appeal with the New York State Education Department. Last week, 2 weeks ago, the parents filed an appeal with the New York State Education Department. The New York State Education Department allows for a expedited review in cases where the situation um, puts students' learning at risk. And so, what we want to do today is call on the state education department to do an expedited review, because what we found is that the reason that they gave for the termination of the whole administration team was low student performance and students being at risk of closure. The SUNY Charter School Institute on November 13th sent a letter saying that the school is not at risk of closure, and the school is doing better than it has in years. It has a 12% increase in improvement. So the board gave out false information. It terminated a team of people who had turned out of school to the place where students were functioning at a very high level, and it deconstructed that. I will show you at the end that in the email that she sent, that the 51 teachers was offered the opportunity to return to the school. Only 31 teachers came back. So they lost 40% of their staff after they terminated the administrators. And then since then, another 10% have left. So over half the staff that was responsible for those great numbers was let go by this board of 5 people. And we have asked the SUNY Charter School Institute to intervene. We've requested to speak on the agenda at the SUNY board meeting, at the SUNY Charter School Committee meeting. And the SUNY Charter School Committee lawyer, Carrie G., sent us an email, which I'll show later, saying, no, we cannot speak at the board meeting. She denied our right to speak at the Charter School Committee board meeting and the SUNY board meeting. Crystal People Stokes has made a formal request for an investigation and for us to be able to have the opportunity to speak at the SUNY board meeting, and also for them to come here to hold a hearing. We don't know what they're trying to cover up. We don't know what they're trying to hide, but we as parents and teachers and taxpayers have the right to speak at our public institutions about things that are going on with our kids. And so at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to the parents and the teachers who are impacted by what's going on, and let's hear about what's been going on since then, and what their concern is. I will start with the parent leader, Keisha Austin. Keisha.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great evening. I come with almost 16-year history with the King Center Charter School. My eldest child is 21. She's actually on this call, which I'm loving that because she still wants to be involved. But the King Center from when she was in elementary school to what it has become is not the same school. So much so that while my youngest daughter was attending the school since kindergarten, I have recently had to pull her out and put her in another school, which she started today. Um, that came with a lot of prayer, frustration, thinking it over. Um, it was bad enough that all the teachers that I loved left for, their own personal reasons, and I get it, and I understand what they had to do. Um, but when my daughter started coming home and saying how bad things were at the school for her and her emotional, mental, and sometimes even physical state, she was like physically becoming ill. Um, that's when I knew I had to look into other options. King Center Charter School is not what it once was, and it's heartbreaking. It is it's just heartbreaking. I'm sad. It makes me very sad. Um, I'm upset. I'm mad. I'm filled with a lot of not good feelings. Um, but I continue to fight, and I'm going to stay in this fight because it's worth that fight. Those babies who are still there, they're worth the fight. The staff who have stuck it out, they are worth the fight. The staff who have come in now and have come into a situation that they probably knew nothing about, did not know what was going on, they deserve this fight. And I'm going to stay in this fight. And I honestly want to get my daughter back to King Center, but when her grades started being affected, that was my last straw. She did not have a fifth grade math or science teacher from the first week of school. And the person that they did hire was horrible. She was probably there for the first week. And because they were in such a rush to get new teachers into the school because so many teachers left, they basically were hiring whoever they could get. And it showed when this teacher told a bunch of fifth graders, a bunch of 10 and 11-year-olds that she didn't like them and that they were not, I'm going to say intelligent enough, but that's not the word she used. Um, and she liked the other class better. To to be a person in a position where you're supposed to be uplifting and teaching and making these kids feel good about themselves, to do that, you're not in the right profession, first of all, and that is definitely not somebody who should be working at the King Center Charter School. Um, I love my kids, so they're always going to come first in their feelings. I love the school, but I had to put my child first. So taking her out, it hurt. It was a difficult decision. Um, But like I said, I'm still in the fight for King Center. I'm here. I'm seeing this to the very, very, very end. And we're going to try every single road we can go through until the very end. And my hope and prayers is that we get that board out of there, number one. We reconstitute a new board that actually cares about the students and puts the students first, because without the students, you don't even have a school, you have no board. Um, and then try to get us back to some semblance of what King Center once was. Like I said, 16 years, I've known for a long time what King Center is about. And I'm hurt. I'm hurt that we've gotten to this point. I'm hurt that um, Miss Rhodes and the Thurmans and Miss Schaefer, and then all the teachers who had to make the decision to move on um, had to be put in that position because, as far as I'm concerned, of personal issues. It all came down to personal. I'm gonna leave it at that, but I'm still in this fight. I want to fight. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to fight for our school. Even though my daughter's not there, it's still our school because, like I said, I got history. So I thank everyone who came out tonight who's still in this fight. I know we've been doing this for months and months, guys. So I appreciate all of you. I'm still here. I'm still the parent leader. Regardless of the fact my daughter's not there, I'm still the parent leader. So if any other parents need anything, I'm here. You got any ideas? I'm here. Um, and I thank you, Sam, and everyone for allowing me the time to state my feelings and my thoughts tonight.
And thank you so much for sharing, Keisha. And we're really so sorry to hear what happened with your daughter and the fact that she started falling behind. And what we do appreciate your responsibility as a parent to take account for what's going on with your child. Next, we'll have Latasha.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Keisha. I am on here as a parent. My child, she's been at KCCS this since kindergarten, so she's in eighth grade. And this has been very traumatic. I can say, that it is not safe. It's been a huge change, a huge impact on my child. Um, just yesterday, something happened where law enforcement had to get involved. And, it's just very unorganized and it's unstable. Things are definitely not the same, just as Keisha said. I can, agree with everything she said. But coming to everyone as a parent, we all want the best for our children, for our community. And that is not evident when you walk into the building. It is clearly not. For the first time, I had a discussion with the current principal that is there because my child afraid and there was discrepancies and no accountability uh, for things, and that's not okay. And it's supposed to be a safe space, a learning environment, and I am making, unfortunately, having to make the decision to pull my child out in the last year of what should be horrible for her. Um, and that's kind of unfortunate. So I can only continue to pray that things will change for the better. I don't see that, and it's just unfortunate. And it's just a decline. This should not be occurring, not when it comes to the children.
Thank you so much, Latasha. And we've seen a
Thank you.
number of parents whose children have spent their
Yeah,
whole career at King Center who feel compelled for their child's sake to pull them out. So we calling on the state education department to respond with an expedited response to stop the bleeding. Next will be Rebecca Rodriguez.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca Rodriguez, and I'm speaking today on behalf, I'm sorry, I'm speaking today as both a staff member and a parent at the school at King Center Charter School. What I have experienced over the last several months has been deeply concerning, and I just feel obligated to speak up for the safety and well-being of our students and staff members. In June of 2025, our school went through an extreme and unexpected administrative overhaul. Um, this left our building with no leadership, no continuity, and no planning for the upcoming school year. Um, the principal position was left vacant until the very first day of school. We met the principal at the same exact time that our students were coming in for their first day of school. And because of this, the conditions inside our school have become increasingly chaotic. The newly hired principal and MTSS lead have created an environment where many teachers feel disrespected, spoken down to, and unsupported. As a result, we have educators leaving the building every week. Students are leaving as well. Families have been withdrawing their children because the school no longer feels safe or structured. Fights occur nearly every day. Well, more than one fight occurs every day, if I'm honest. The cafeteria is unsafe. Dismissal is unsafe. Students are fighting on buses, and transportation companies have warned that they may stop providing services to our school. Inside classrooms, teachers are unable to teach effectively. Many have been forced to intervene in physical altercations. Staff morale is at an all-time low. The lack of structure and resources and leadership has harmed both adults and students. I want to emphasize that I'm also speaking as a parent. I have fifth grade twins and an eighth grader who attend this school. They have felt this decline firsthand. They miss their teachers and administrators who were there for them, um, the ones who were fired and the ones who have since quit. My children have not had a permanent math teacher up until just a few weeks ago. Their classroom has been lacking structure, consistency, and guidance up until up until these last couple of weeks. As a staff member, I see it. As a parent, I feel it. And as a community member, I cannot stay silent. We need stability. We need transparency. We need leadership that respects and supports educators. And most importantly, we need an environment where students feel safe, supported, and are able to learn. So thank you all for allowing me to share my experience. And I hope my testimony helps bring some real change to protect our children, our teachers, and our school. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And so we also know that the reason that was given for terminating the administrators, it turned out to be not true. It's turned out to be false. As a matter of fact, we're going to bring forth Dr. Keith Frome, who can talk to us a little bit about the significance of the numbers that we found out, that we got from SUNY CSI on November 13th, and in what the history of, how King Center operated prior to this current administration and board. Dr. Frome.
Yep. Thank you, Sam. Thanks everyone on the phone. And thank you for your great spirit and great work. Those of us who've been involved with the King Center for many or over 2 decades, we just deeply appreciate this current generation and your commitment to the mission of the school and the eternal values of the school. I was on the board of the King Center in the early days for a long time, and then I had the privilege to be asked to leave the board in order to lead the school so that it could expand to become a K through 8 and get chartered as a K through 8. And so I was there with our team to create the configuration that we have today. And we were driven by three success pillars, three success metrics. And we knew we had to hit each of those three. Couldn't just hit one. Had to have all three in place at the same time, kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, for the school to be successful, for the children to be successful, and for us to get renewed as a charter. And the number one thing, which we've heard a lot about today, and all of our hearts are breaking, the number one first pillar was culture. And we had to create a safe, loving, nurturing, hopeful, structured environment where we had high expectations for the students and also high support, and where we were preaching the mission every day and having the kids understand that they were as much a part of fulfilling that mission, and the parents were as much a part of fulfilling that mission, as the administrators and the teachers, that we were all together. And so we wanted to have a peaceful, loving, lovely place to be for 6 or 7 hours a day together as a community and even beyond that. So culture was the first pillar. The second was, as a board, we were deeply committed to financial sustainability and financial stability. And we managed our finances with great care. We had wonderful financial minds on that board who made sure that we garnered the resources appropriately and responsibly so that we could leverage them for the good of the children and the good of the teachers. So financial stability was the second one. And the last one was academics, but this is what we definitely thought. What we wanted to do was to provide a whole child education, whole child curriculum that was rich in the arts and sciences, rich in enrichment, rich in physical education, rich in extracurricular sports, rich in music and theater and celebration, and deeply academic. And we decided, and Dr. Massey talked about this at the beginning, we were not going to teach to the test, but we were going to master that test, and we were going to outperform our peer schools. So our needle that we wanted to thread was, we weren't going to teach to the test. We were going to give the kids a wonderful liberal arts and sciences education, and a whole child, well-rounded experience, and still outperform our peer schools, which Mr. Radford has just pointed out that this previous administration was able to do, and I'm very proud of them. Culture, finance, academics.
So thank you, Dr. Frome. And so just to reiterate the point that Dr. Frome is making, those are the numbers. So when they say in the termination letter that the kids were the students' academics were low and that the school was at risk of closure, we see that that was not true. So this board, used that as a pretext to let the staff go that they wanted to let go anyway. And just to make sure everybody sees it in writing for yourself, there's also um, this I had it up on the, oh, there it go. Here's read. This is what the SUNY Charter School said. The board told them. They said allegedly a number of current staff and students' families have been receiving phone calls from external parties encouraging them to depart the school because it is in jeopardy of closure by SUNY as its authorizers. As you can imagine, this type of misinformation is negatively impacting the school culture and instill fear and concern among family and staff. I can confirm that given the current record, King Center Charter School is not in jeopardy of revocation at this time, and the school is currently in a 3 to 5 year in year three of a 5 year renewal. And so essentially, in the letter that we saw, where the board essentially told um, the staff that they let go that the school was at risk of closure, I'm going to show a separate letter, another letter that they shared. And Dr. Fromm, if you don't mind just talking about this a little bit, you shared yesterday about how appropriate this was. This is a letter that the board chair, again, interacting directly with the administration staff, sent out regarding the future of the school. I won't read every detail of it, but the school was totally reorganized in of September of last year. It happened because in May of 2024, the teachers had a vote of no confidence against the executive director and the board. And in order to respond to that, they reorganized the school, and they said the primary purpose of the reorganization, which goes into effect tomorrow, is to ensure accountability for improved student outcomes, which must be realized this year. Ultimately, she's talking to Principal Radford here, ultimately you are responsible and accountable for ensuring students make more than 1 year's worth of academic growth this year. As we discussed, Deb Hammer will work with you to identify and propose to the board specific quantifiable student growth metrics. I could show you what those metrics are uh, because those metrics essentially are that they would hit 32 and 35% um, of those are the goals that they would hit 32 and 35%. You hear the metric, the benchmark is to get to 32% in ELA and 35% in math. That was the metric they were to hit. And as you see, they exceeded those metrics. And the reward they got for exceeding those metrics was to be terminated. Um, After this, the deterioration at the school continued. And on October 2nd, the teacher sent a letter to the SUNY Charter School Institute asking for immediate intervention. Mary Pat, would you talk a little bit about what was in that letter and the response you got from the SUNY Charter School Institute?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Sam. So my name is Mary Pat Moley. I have been at King Center. This is my 16th year at King Center. And on behalf of the teachers and the staff at King Center, we put together a letter to send to CSI in the beginning of October. And it went through kind of how this all started, about how we started to have serious concerns about the leadership at the school, mainly the executive director, since she had been on board, Tamara Coleman. And we had gone to the board about those concerns many times, and they were ignored. We went back to the board the following year with a vote of no confidence because things had not gotten any better. There really was no improvement. They had brought in somebody to conduct interviews, which were really just interrogations of the staff. It happened to be a friend of Miss Coleman's, and nothing has been shared. No outcomes had been shared from those interviews, we'll call them. Nothing was ever done about them. So we just kept getting ignored. So we sent this letter to CSI to let them know that our school is now in crisis after what happened last June, letting go the members of our administrative team and losing our director of curriculum, and along with multiple other people. I think we lost 23 people over the summer in total. So we told them that we have chronic understaffing. There is also academic neglect. We still do not have a speech teacher to this day, which is a mandated support that students should be receiving. We still do not have that. We do not have any coaches at this point, not an ELA coach or a math coach. Our math coach was put into the classroom, the fifth grade classroom. So we do not have anybody supporting the teachers that we have, and we had such a high number of new teachers this year, so none of them are getting support. We do not have a director of curriculum, and we are down teaching assistants. And with the behaviors, the assistants are they're just so necessary. Like, we need more hands on deck, and none of those things are happening. We also talked about the behavior concerns and the safety concerns. As other people have stated, there are multiple physical altercations that occur daily. Those altercations are not being documented properly. I know that students are being allowed back into the classroom shortly after altercations, and threats have been happening. Not just altercations with students, but staff have also been pushed and threatened, and nothing is being done. So the behavioral and the safety concerns, we spoke about. We spoke about the operational instability, how things, day-to-day schedules and procedures and systems have just changed abruptly. It's causing a lot of confusion for the staff and students, which then again allows for a lot of just chaos in the school. As somebody else said, the lunch periods are unsafe. Staff has been given all sorts of PTO block dates that were added without notice. Staff morale is down. We also many of us are being put into sub and classrooms, so we are not able to provide, you know, the daily jobs and tasks that we're supposed to do. And we're actually running out of staff members to be able to do that. And so even members of our IT team are being pulled to deal with behaviors. And I know, like, they have actually said to me that this is not what's in our job description. We are IT people. Like, we don't know how to deal with, not that they don't know how to deal with it, but it's just not in their job description to have to do that. And so we asked for an independent investigation, to review the conduct of the board of directors, to audit academic and special education services, to evaluate the safety and behavioral supports, and to institute oversight and accountability measures for both the executive director and the board, to ensure immediate and long-term compliance with best practices in governance, staffing, and student safety. And the response that I received from CSI was so disappointing. It was basically just an automated response, and clearly nobody read our letter. That is begging for help. At this point, we are just begging for somebody to help us. And it was an automated letter that was directed toward someone as if they were a parent. So it had said to me, if you have a complaint about your child or student at the school, it needs to be taken to the executive director or the board, was the response that we got. And that's about it. There really was no support or response whatsoever. And that was just so discouraging and really left me feeling so hopeless, because I just feel like if CSI cannot help us, who is going to not help us, help the students in the school? Because it's just chaotic and it's unsafe and it's unfair, because the students deserve so much more than what they're getting at this moment. And as I said, I've been there for 16 years, and I have seen a lot of things in 16 years. There's been some ups, there's been some downs, but I have truly never seen anything like this before and experienced anything like this before. And I just am hoping, I'm really hoping that somebody can help us out here.
Thank you for making that, clearing call. And we want to reemphasize to the media that state education department has the power to intervene immediately. SUNY Charter School Institute is the oversight institution. They have failed in their oversight. And so we're at this point asking the state education department and the Board of Regents to intervene right away, because students every day are falling further behind. I'm going to turn it over to Principal Radford, and then we will take questions from the media if you have questions.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming and supporting the efforts of just accountability and transparency. I'm issuing the statement to respond to the Board of Trustees' decision to end my employment that was effective June 30th, 2025, citing lack of improvement in student performance and alleged risk of non-renewal and closure. The statement from the board contradicts the documented facts. I am proud to reaffirm that the academic growth expectations that was established by the board and myself and the leadership team, and then I had an executive coach, we met them. And not only did we met them, we exceeded that during my leadership. Student performance data from this school year reflects measurable gains, increased proficiency, and notable progress. I remain committed to educational excellence and integrity and the well-being of students and families. My leadership has always centered around equitable access to quality education, strong school culture, and data-driven improvement. I am happy to say that we did that this year. I didn't do it, we did it. The staff, the teachers, the students. We had a wonderful team. We were heading in the right direction. If the board wanted to go into a different direction, that's on them. But I didn't want our reputation as the school to be flawed. That we were not meeting our expectations. We set out a plan, a school improvement plan. Thank you to my leadership team and all the teachers and staff. We achieved it. So I'm just proud. I want due process. I want accountability for the board of directors. I don't know what the issue is, but I believe that we all should have due process. So thank you.
So that's what our goal is. Our goal is to have due process before the state education department and the board of regents right now. And we still have the option of going back to court. We did go to court, and the court said that we have to exhaust all administrative options before we can have the court rule on the merits. We're confident that we will win on the merits, but we believe the state education department can do that without us having to go back to court. And so at this point, We will open unless there. Let's do this. Let's open the floor up to see if there's any media. Any media? I see 247 Spectrum, NPR. All are here. Any media have any questions for any of the stakeholders? If you're talking, I started to hear you, but you turned off. So if there's a media question, the floor is open for the questions from the media. All right. Well, media, if you don't have any questions, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just lay out the rest of uh, the the information that we have that's in our complaint. But before I lay out the rest of the information that's in the formal complaint that we that we submitted today, I want to give anybody who's on who want to share anything, who want to say anything, an opportunity to share what you want to say. So the floor is open for anybody who wants to make a comment.
Mr. Radford,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
do have my statement to read,
Oh yeah, go
if it's
ahead.
okay.
Yep, go ahead, please. And Lois, I heard you. I saw
Okay.
your lips
So,
moving,
my name is Katie.
Lois, you can go soon as she's done. I saw your lips moving, but you on mute. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is Katie Pryor.
Oh, yes, go ahead. I'm sorry, Kate. Go ahead.
I'm on this call today, not just as an educator, but as someone who has spent 19 years as a member of the King Center community. So that's 19 years watching the school grow into a family, a refuge for so many people, and a place where Dr. Massey's legacy of compassion and dignity and community and family lived in every hallway and every classroom. But right now, our school is hurting. The hallways that once echoed with chatter and laughter and the excitement of students eager to learn are now crowded with ego and titles and degrees. The warmth that made this school feel like home is no longer there. It's been replaced by tension and uncertainty that our students and staff feel every day. The board's decision to remove our principal, assistant principal, and dean of students has shaken our entire community deeply. These leaders were part of the heartbeat of King Center. They were consistent, familiar, and committed to the children that we serve every day. Their absence has created a void that cannot be ignored. And it truly has not even been addressed with our students. Despite the happenings, we're not here out of anger. We're here because we love the school, we love our students, and some of us feel a responsibility to uphold the legacy of Dr. Massey that Dr. Massey entrusted us with. And that's one that's built on trust and respect and genuine relationships with families and also our colleagues. We're asking for leaders that listen. We're asking for transparency, for empathy, and for decisions that are grounded in what's best for the students. We want to return to the values that made this school a safe and joyous place to be for all the students that walk through the doors. And I'll add the staff as well. Our students deserve safety and stability. Our staff deserves respect, and our school deserves to feel like home again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katie. We appreciate that. And Dr. Lois Johnson.
Well, actually, I never got that far. Actually, I got that far. I just never could not think of how I really what I wanted to focus on for the doctorate. I literally retired and went right into the King Center as the school president of the board. I remember Clayton and I talking about, okay, I said, Clayton, look at, I'm 34 years with the district. I'm going to be retiring in January, and uh, I want to move on, but you could be the director. I'll be in charge of the board. And it was a wonderful effort. I'll never regret it. That's not how I should have started my retirement, but hey, you know what? You do what you have to do. And I was there 12 years before my husband and I decided to make the move down to Charlotte, which I've been here now for 12 years. Um, it really did sadden me greatly. But I am so encouraged that you have continued to fight this effort to make sure uh, Antoinette gets back, all the teachers come back, and the children can be happy again. Um, I'm so glad to be a part of this effort as well. I've done my best to try to stay, attend all of the different meetings that you've had. And Sam, you've been a wonderful leader, and I just know everything is going to turn out all right. I'm very disappointed, really, in the governance of the Charter School Institute. I could not believe that they agreed with this present board. But as it is, I continue to pray that all will be, and that we'll start the new year with Antoinette and her team, and move forward. Thank you all, and let's stay with it
Thank you
to the
so much.
end.
We appreciate you so much. And Mary Tess, I see Mary Tess is here. Mary Tess, do you want to share something before we start to wrap up?
I don't have anything prepared. You know, supposed to like write something for today.
No, just anything you want to share about the basis of what you saw and what's happening. Because you know, um, not only did 40% of the staff leave, um, before the school year started, there's been a continuous leaving of staff. Over the last month, both kindergarten teachers, the art teacher and the music teacher have all left. The assistant dean of students just left this week. So we see a continual bleeding. Mary Tess, you want to talk
Hmm.
about what your experience has been?
Sure. So I am one of those kindergarten teachers who left, and it absolutely broke my heart because I loved my kids and I love my coworkers, but the environment was entirely too toxic. Um, like Ms. Pryor was saying, like it became all about titles and people speaking down on those who don't have doctor in front of their name, thinking that they were less than. I watched my TA get treated like she was less than because she doesn't have doctor in front of her name. I watched a lot of my friends get treated like they were less than because they don't have doctor in front of their name. Hearing how people were spoken to, seeing, my coworkers crying and just the chaos going on in the school was just too much. It just felt heavy being in that building. I used to cry before going to work, and I had a good class, but just being in that environment, it wasn't good for my mental health. And I just hated seeing people that I love go through what they were going through. I saw one of my closest friends turning into somebody I didn't recognize because of how she was being treated. And she put her all into that school, and just watching her get treated the way that she was treated, get yelled at, get talked down to, like it was just too much. And unfortunately, like I thought that the school wasn't going to make it. That's just what it looked like. It wasn't going to make it. And I had to think about how I was going to pay my bills. So all of that led to me leaving the school, a school that I loved, a school that I literally begged to student teach at. I wasn't supposed to be at Kingston. I was supposed to be at another school, but I fell in love with Kingston. I felt so welcomed. I felt like it was a family, and that's always an environment that I wanted to teach in. I didn't want to teach in a system that felt like a system. I wanted to teach in a system that felt like a family and that actually cared about the kids. And that is what King Center used to be. But unfortunately, once they got rid of the administration, that's not what it was anymore. So it definitely wasn't an easy decision. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just up and leaving. It was very hard. And it was a decision made because of how bad things were getting at the school.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mary Tess, and we are so sorry that you had to experience that. Um, but ultimately we are here tonight because we want to, make sure that we get back to, we hold people accountable who should be held accountable. Let me just show two more documents before we leave. Um, this one is a email that came from a board member. Our concern is that this board, which is supposed to have a minimum of 11, that's now down to five, not because they're bad people. They just don't have the range of experience you need to run an institution of this size. And they're also being reckless in how they are operating. So they have a member of their board who's been on, who they say has been on their board. They list him as a member of the board. We sent him an email asking for him to be involved with what was going on. He responded to us. He said, "Good morning. His name is Michael McMahon. I am no longer an active member of the board, and I have not been for years. I'm only on the roster to be able to assist with the finance committee, which was an agreement I made with the previous board chair. I have not been active for over 4 years and didn't participate in any of this current situation." But he was nonetheless listed as a board member. You cannot be an active board member and you cannot count toward quorum if you're not at meetings for 4 years. So this board member is a small circle of people who are now, really running the school into the ground. And at this point, we're asking for seven things, and I requested relief from the SUNY, from the state. And we are joining with Crystal Peoples Stowe, Majority Leader, the state legislator, and asking for an immediate independent investigation into the governance, compliance, and management of the King Center Charter School. The second is we are asking for an emergency stabilization plan for all academic and operational continuity. Third, we're asking for a partial or a full reconstitution of the KCCS board. Fourth, we asking for oversight of all board activities until compliance is restored. Fifth, we're asking for a corrective action plan requiring transparency, public input, and measurable benchmarks. Six, we are calling for restoration or for fair hearings for all people who are unlawfully terminated. And finally, we're asking for a full review of SUNY CSI's oversight failure and the procedural violations that we have allowed. These are all things that the state education department has to do, have the power over. They have the power to do this expeditiously. We will follow this press conference up with taking the videos from this press conference and sharing them with the state education department tomorrow. And we will join with Majority Leader Crystal Peoples Stokes and asking for someone to meet with parents, either by Zoom, by next week, or come here and let us meet with them in person. But all those things are things that the state education department have the power to do. They have the power to have an intervention. They have the power to bring in a receiver to take over the school, to restore board members. We have a group of board members who are competent and qualified, who are prepared to, if they need to, reconstitute the board. So the work has been done to do the work to save the school. We don't want this time next year, based on what we see happening now, for CSI to send us a letter saying the King Center Charter School is at risk of closure when at the end of this past school year they were in a optimum position to build for future success. So let me just say thank you to everybody who has joined us. I want to make sure if anybody if there's anybody else who want to say something before we leave, that you have the opportunity to say something. Anybody who wants to share anything, the floor is open. All right, Brandon, thank you. Appreciate that. All right. If there's nothing else to be said, I can assure everybody that we will be following up on everything that's been done. We will follow up with the majority leader as well. share with her this video, what took place, and we will have our regular meeting. We have a meeting every Monday from 6 to 6:45 until we have the truth and justice, and we have full accountability in the redemption of the King Center Charter School. Until we do that, we will continue to meet until we achieve that. So with that, let's just say a closing prayer, and we will go on out. Can we give somebody so normally Keisha and Antoinette pray. Let's see if we can get a new voice to join us in prayer. Who's anybody want to lead us in a closing prayer?
Rebecca.
Re-
Rebecca.
Rebecca, could you close us in prayer, please?
Yes, I can. Dear Lord, we come before you right now humbly in your presence, God, thanking you for all of the blessings that you continue to grant us with on a daily basis. Thanking you for each and every person on this call, God. Thanking you that we can look at one another and say, this person has been there for me. And this person shows up for me, Lord, because this is the type of love and community that only you can create, Lord Jesus. It is just you. And so, God, today we come to you asking for justice, Lord, asking for redemption, Lord, asking that everyone on this call receives a peace in their heart, Lord, because we know that you are the doer of all things, Jesus. You are the mender of all things, God. You are the mender of everything. And we know that there is nothing that is impossible for you. So I ask for continued strength, continued faith, and I ask for justice. In your mighty, mighty name, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Giving God the glory for everything. Everybody, thank you so much, Dr. Phone. Thank you for sharing, Keisha, and all of everybody who shared. Dr. Massey, everybody, thank you so much. And we'll see everybody on Monday. To the media that's here, I see Channel 2, Channel WBN, NPR, Spectrum, Channel 4. We are available. We do have the press release if you need the press release. We have the media advisory if you need that, and we are available for interviews if you want to do follow-up interviews. And the video will be made available if you need the video for TV purposes. So thank you so much for joining us, all the media, and everybody have a great night. Good stuff.
Hmm?
Good stuff.
It was.